Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Welcome back. Welcome to. My name is Joe Josh. I go by iChart Daily. Today is August 12th, 2025. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you a window to my thought process on what I think potentially is playing out with Bitcoin based off of straight technical analysis views, no opinions. I interpret what the chart is telling me. It's that simple. So I have been doing technical analysis for about 17, 18 years now. I was originally taught by my father, who was an options trader, and I transitioned to crypto about 11 to 12 years ago. So I have experienced multiple halvenings, multiple cycles. I'm very familiar with what happens around tops and bottoms, what the news portrays, and I'm just trying to regurgitate all that information to you guys. So stick around. Appreciate the support. Going to be a quick and simple video. Let's get into it. So there are certain rules that I follow. I say in every video. They work. Long-term trends predict short-term outcomes. What that means is I always start with monthly time frames, longer time frames like the weekly, 2-week, 3-week, and monthly, and then start going down to see what I think is happening with the current swings. As of right now, the first thing that I was mentioning to everyone was this monthly RSI. We need to see if we are going to respect this resistance line or if we're going to break above it. With that being said, I start zooming into 3-week, 2-week, 1-week, and what are we seeing? So, as of right now, I'm looking for waves, wave structures. Are we in a continuation pattern to the upside, downside? Is there room to bleed? Room to bleed where? Is there room to grow? Room to grow where? Are we respecting any trend lines? Yes. As of right now, 1 high, 2 highs, 3 highs, you're out. So what I'm looking for in this weekly market structure is this right here. Right, as you could see, when you are below the moving average, you usually use it as resistance until you form somewhat of a double bottom, higher low, triple bottom, inverse head and shoulders, and then you go up, respect it, and then you're up to the upside. Once you break below, you usually use it as resistance. This is your confirmation pattern that you have room to bleed. As of right now, we're still above it. The first thing I'm noticing is 44, this one's 57, this one's 62. The next thing that I'm noticing is the highs, right? So this one here, this one here, this one here, this one here. We're at this point right now where we need to, well, I like to let the market structure happen. Sometimes you have to wait 1 to 3 weeks to see if we're going to respect this blue line and form a lower high to the 69 to the 70 on the weekly RSI. Right, so this right here, this is what I'm talking about. You go up, you form a lower high. You go up, you form a higher high. You go up, you form a lower high. You go up. Now I'm forming, are we going to form a lower high to this macro level here? If that's the case, then once again, I do see room to bleed. I'd like to see it come back up, form resistance under the moving average, and then I know I have room to bleed and open up a short position from here to where we've seen previous support. Previous support is around the 50 to the worst case scenario, 44. Now, if we do break to the upside, then we go parabolic. But as of right now, we don't see that happening. As of right now, we're respecting the trend line. So your stochastics coming down. Another thing that I was noticing was the weekly MACD. And join the Discord, link is in the description. But we're going up, right? We're going up. You can see the waves here. 1, 2, 3, right? And then you have your halfways, like your 1, 2, 1, right? 1, 1, right? 1. So we need to see if this was just another, once again, bull flag to the upside. But the reason why I'm telling you this is the first time that we're getting hidden bearish divergence on a MACD and an RSI. So just to show you what that looks like, your price swings are getting higher and higher, right? 1, 2, and now we're above that. So this is your next swing high. Your MACD has been making higher highs as well, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Most recent one here was at 10,000. This one that is forming now is at 8,000. So we have room to grow, yes, but we need to break 10.4 in order for this to be a true continuation to the upside. This is the first time that the MACD could potentially make a lower high if we even extend to 120, 130. This is the first time that the MACD and the RSI are making lower highs. What does that show me? There's potentially some major hidden bearish divergence on the horizon. What does that mean? I'm very transparent with everybody, right? As price goes up, I'm looking to take profit and put money into cash. As price goes down, I'm looking to take money out of my cash reserves and put it into assets that have higher risk rewards. So as of right now, if Bitcoin goes to 120, 130, great. But in my eyes, if we form lower highs on these indicators, that's not great. That's not my opinion. Every time that price has gone up, right? Just to give you like real life examples, once again, not my opinion, straight facts, right? Bitcoin went from 61 to 28, went back up to 68, looked great. Everyone thought this was just a continuation or a consolidation and then a continuation, but your MACD made a lower high, right? Lower high. Your RSI made a lower high, and that showed you that this was somewhat of like a top forming. And just to give you guys like an understanding, this was 448 days. Do I think we're at that point right now? Not yet, because I made the video of time frames from halvening to when the top around forms, halvening when the top forms, halvening when the top forms. The previous halvening was literally May 2024. So we have technically, if you want to be technical about it, right here, right, we do have time for us to continue to the upside. Let's just say even 100 and whatever. Let's just get into it. So if this is another bull flag, right, that was forming, we could take this measured move from here to here, and it would give us, what is that, 133,000, right? Because this was doing this, this was doing this, and if you go to the breakout, brings us to 132. That's the first level right here. Some people might be greedy and be like, oh no, that's the level, and that takes us to 146,000. Now let me show you how I line this up. So trend lines go with trend indicator. What does that mean? You turn on the monthly. If your MACD is pointing up, then your trend line, macro trend line, needs to go up, and you should be respecting that trend line as long as your MACD aligns with it, right? So golden cross, trend going up, trend going up. Now the issue is this trend line, okay? This one was doing this, okay, like this opening cone pattern, but the issue is we only respected it once, twice. This one was a lower high, right? So now, instead of us doing this, you could still keep it open, but now the trend line is somewhat like this, okay? And I want to show you something. The trend started turning more bearish when the RSI started making lower highs. Once we were making a higher high, right? Swing one went from 27 to 42, came down, we went all the way up to 66, this high here. We came down, bounced off the 50, made a higher high, went to 82, this swing here. Came down, bounced off the 70, very bullish, we went to 69. We came all the way down, stayed above the 50, section A. This is what I'm saying in my Discord. When nothing bearish comes when your long-term trends remain in section A. We came down, we consolidated, we formed a higher low to 39. We went to 53, and we went back up. This was the first wave from here to here that we made that lower high in the cone pattern. We came down, made a higher low, went to 76, higher than 52, but we made another lower high on the RSI, showing me that this pattern right now, right, is more bearish than bullish because we're getting the hidden bearish divergence. You understand? So now we're here. we're in like that 50-50 mark, right? Where we could go down and see support at 109, or we could go up and see resistance at like 145, like I just showed you. Everyone's talking about the catalyst of the Fed's lowering interest rates. I do think that the hopium of that happening could bring us to the top. But once again, if you know anything about technical analysis 101, this pattern should do something like this. We go to the 130, 150, right? You see this top right here, and then we could potentially come back down, do another higher high, or do the same high and then form that top, like I said, around here, leading us into 2026, and then this huge rising wedge could potentially come back down to, let's just say, 75,000 to 68,000. And then at that point, we do have another double top like this one. And this time from November, let's just do it right. Do it live! So this, excuse me, right, took like this, right, boom, April. And then we do this to this, and this to this, right? Boom, 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 boom. But this section is when Bitcoin's dominance goes down, while Bitcoin goes from 70 back to 150. So if you remember, that's what happened this time. And this is when alt season really happened. Love you guys. That's the video. Let's recap. Basically, this is not financial advice. This is my advice based off of my previous experience in the market. Once again, I am not happy when Bitcoin overextends past its all-time high, because based off of previous examples, that's when the market is extremely overbought. That's just trading 101. Anyone that listened to my 17, 15, 13 is potentially up right now 674%. I trust charts over people. What that means is if the charts are showing me hidden bearish divergence on at least a weekly time frame, like it has showed me the same thing here, the same thing here, the same thing here, I am going to trust what the indicators tell me compared to what the news is telling me. That means you can't fight charting. Did it make a lower high on the RSI? 2 times now. Is it confirmed that we made the lower high on the MACD? No. So you can't make that argument. Once it does, you cannot argue that hidden bearish divergence is forming on a weekly time frame. Doesn't matter what race, sex, pronouns, religion. Can't argue with that. You can't argue that every time that has played out in the past, and once we have broken into section B, we were officially in a bear market. You can't argue with that. Facts are facts. Are we at that point yet? No. Are we getting to the point where we're forming a rising wedge, and rising wedges usually break down? Yeah. If we were to break down at a rising wedge on a weekly time frame, is that like a 2% correction, or is that like a 20 to 30% correction? Well, that's like a 20-30% correction. Would that collapse 99% of altcoins that are up astronomical amounts? 100%. So, based off of the facts of what has happened in the past, me personally, as my positions go up, I am taking more off the table. The question that you need to ask yourself is how many coins or what position do you want to have during the bear market? Each bear market, you need to prepare. If you've never experienced one, you need to prepare for your positions to go down minimum 50-60%, maximum 80 to 90%. Not my opinion. Go to any chart, that you feel is a great project and go to the bear market and go from the top to the bottom. And once again, I said in the Discord this morning, the best feeling, besides your children being born, is having loads of cash when the assets that you love are extremely oversold. When you've experienced multiple cycles and you have knees deep in the game, I get excited when prices go down because it's opportunity. Opportunity that doesn't happen very often. This cycle, unfortunately, is a 4-year cycle. Unfortunately, every 4 years, you have to focus on the layer 1 that is gaining the most momentum, and the most amount of money are on the coins with the lowest market cap. That is the unfortunate truth of this crypto game as of right now. So, I leave you with this. I am preparing for 2027. I'm already ChatGPTing what's happening with BlackRock. What could happen with credit, with banks, with overexposure on loans that could potentially be the next quote-unquote crash? Because once again, if you were around and you were alive, nothing was better than 15,000 Bitcoin happened. Nothing better happened when we were wearing masks and Bitcoin was at 3,000. Nothing was better than when FTX crashed and liquidated the market when Bitcoin was at 3,000. Nothing was better when Silk Road, blah, 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 and Bitcoin was at 200. And nothing better happened when blah, 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 blah. So, enjoy the day. I appreciate the support. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, leave it in the comment section. I get to everybody. To give you an alert, or an alert or two, because I love you, set an alert on the weekly time frame at the 62.14 on the RSI. That is your most recent support. That's your most recent low. If we break the most recent low, there is room to bleed to the next most recent low, which is 57.45. If the RSI does go down to that level, we are going down to about 111,000 and potentially lower. Because what that is that is the first step to the bearish divergence playing out. That would be the first step to potentially this inverse head and shoulders playing out. We would break the support, go down to this support, come back up because it's a dead cat bounce. But if we form a lower high to this 70 point, whatever it is right here, 70.28, and we go to this high here, that is a bearish market structure that is forming on the weekly, which holds much value, which would also be respecting the weekly lower high trend line. So it would look like this, 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 and then room to bleed here. Once again, this is where I'd like to buy more. This is where I'd like to buy more. This is where I take profit. This is where I take profit. This is where I take profit. Enjoy the day.